The mist hung heavy over Lake Michigan, shrouding the secluded cabin in an eerie silence. Ben stood at the water's edge, his eyes fixed on the glassy surface that mirrored the overcast sky. As he gazed into the depths, a chill ran down his spine. There, beneath the placid waters, a familiar face emerged. His brother, long since lost to the lake's cold embrace. Ben blinked hard, convinced his mind was playing tricks on him. But the image persisted, growing clearer with each passing moment. His brother's face, pale and ethereal, smiled up at him from beneath the surface. Lips moved, forming words that shouldn't be possible. "Come swim," the reflection mouthed, beckoning with an outstretched hand. A nervous laugh escaped Ben's throat, echoing across the empty shoreline. He shook his head, trying to dispel the unsettling vision. It was just his imagination, he told himself, a manifestation of grief and guilt that had haunted him since that fateful day years ago. The sound of footsteps on the wooden dock behind him offered a welcome distraction. Sarah, his wife, approached with a steaming mug of coffee in her hands. "Thought you could use this," she said, her voice tinged with concern. "You've been out here for hours." Ben accepted the mug gratefully, wrapping his cold fingers around its warmth. He turned back to the lake, half expecting the ghostly image to have vanished. But his brother's face remained, now joined by Sarah's reflection beside his own. Something was wrong. Terribly, inexplicably wrong. While Ben and Sarah stood side by side on the dock, their reflections told a different story. Sarah's mirror image remained on the shore, separate from the water's edge. Her face was contorted in terror, mouth open in a silent scream. As Ben watched, transfixed, her reflection began to move, forming words with frantic urgency. "Run!" it mouthed over and over. "Run!" Heart pounding, Ben whirled to face his wife, but the space beside him was empty. The mug of coffee lay shattered on the dock, its contents seeping between the weathered planks. Sarah had vanished without a sound, leaving only her terrified reflection as evidence she had ever been there at all. Panic gripped Ben as he scanned the shoreline, calling Sarah's name. His voice echoed across the water, met only by an oppressive silence. The mist seemed to thicken around him, obscuring the cabin and the trees beyond. He was alone, trapped in a bubble of fog with only the lake for company. A splash from behind drew his attention back to the water. The surface rippled, concentric circles spreading outward from a point just beyond the dock. Ben leaned forward, peering into the murky depths. For a moment, he thought he saw a flash of pale skin, a hand reaching upward. Before he could react, something seized his ankles with crushing force. Icy fingers dug into his flesh, pulling with inhuman strength. Ben lost his balance, toppling forward as the grip dragged him inexorably toward the water's edge. He clawed at the dock, splinters digging into his palms as he fought against the unseen assailant. But it was no use. With a final, desperate gasp, Ben was pulled beneath the surface, into a world of cold and darkness. The lake swallowed him whole, its placid surface betraying no sign of the struggle that had taken place. As Ben sank deeper, he opened his eyes, fighting against the burn of the water. What he saw defied all reason and sanity. An underwater world stretched out before him, a twisted reflection of the shore above. Ghostly trees swayed in non-existent currents, their branches reaching out like grasping fingers. Shadows moved among them, vaguely human shapes that flickered at the edge of vision. And there, in the center of it all, stood his brother. No longer the drowned specter from the surface, but whole and alive, smiling with a warmth that seemed out of place in this cold, alien realm. Beside him was Sarah, her expression serene, showing no trace of the terror that had marked her reflection. They beckoned to Ben, urging him to join them in this impossible underwater paradise. Part of him wanted to give in, to embrace this reunion, and leave behind the world of grief and loneliness above. but a primal instinct for survival screamed within him, demanding that he fight, that he return to the surface and the reality he knew. With the last of his strength, Ben kicked upward, lungs burning for air. The hands that had dragged him down now seemed intent on keeping him there, clawing at his legs and arms as he struggled toward the light filtering through the water above. Just as his vision began to darken, Ben broke the surface with a desperate gasp. He flailed wildly, expecting at any moment to feel those icy fingers pulling him back down. But nothing came. The lake was calm, the mist dissipating to reveal a bright, sunny day. Ben dragged himself onto the dock, coughing and shivering. He looked around, half expecting to find himself alone, Sarah and the cabin gone as if they had never existed. But there she was, running down from the house, concern etched on her face. "Ben! What happened? I just went inside for a minute, and when I came back, you were in the water." Sarah knelt beside him, wrapping a towel around his shoulders. Ben stared at her, then back at the lake. Its surface was mirror smooth, reflecting only blue sky and puffy white clouds. No ghostly faces, no underwater world. Had it all been a hallucination? A vivid nightmare born from years of unresolved guilt. As Sarah helped him to his feet, Ben caught a glimpse of their reflection in the water. For just a moment, he thought he saw his brother standing behind them, smiling sadly before fading away like mist in the morning sun. Ben shook his head, banishing the image. "I'm okay," he said, though his voice shook. I thought I saw something in the water. It was nothing." Sarah studied his face, clearly unconvinced. "Maybe we should head back to the city early," she suggested. "This place, it doesn't seem to be good for you." Ben nodded, allowing her to lead him back toward the cabin. As they walked, he couldn't resist one last look over his shoulder at the lake. Its placid surface revealed nothing, keeping its secrets hidden beneath impenetrable depths. But as the days passed and they returned to their normal lives, Ben found himself haunted by what he had seen, or thought he had seen. The memory of that other world beneath the waves lingered, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. And sometimes, in quiet moments when he least expected it, he would catch a fleeting glimpse in mirrors or windows of familiar faces, watching him from just beyond the glass, silently calling him back to the lake and its impossible reflections.